What is good, YouTube? It's the Sports Star back with another video on the channel, and today we are doing a 2023 way too early mock draft. And I'm going based on who I think they should get, and this is going to be probably all of this is going to be incorrect because, first off, any of these teams, this order could be switched around instantly, like very quickly. And I think that, and second off, these players can underperform. Some of these lower players can overperform, take these spots. And so, yeah, well, let's just get into it. This is who I would pick right now. This is who I think your team should get based on the situation today. Starting off with the Texans. The Texans are going quarterback. If they're in this position, Mills is not going to work. I'm going Bryce Young. Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young is going to be better than CJ Stroud this year. Not saying that maybe it's because he has better weapons around him. Maybe it's because he has better defense. It could be because of anything, but I think Bryce Young is the better quarterback overall. Moving on to the Falcons. The Falcons, apparently Ritter didn't work. Apparently Mariota didn't work. I think you keep Ritter for a backup, but CJ Stroud going to be coming off the board. I like that pick. You have your QB of the future, hopefully. And it's a quarterback that's not named Matt Ryan, so that's good for you guys. Moving on to the Lions. This is not a good situation for the Lions. The top two quarterbacks are off the board. I'm not a huge hater of Jared Goff. I mean, I know you want a quarterback, but I don't think it's not necessarily the biggest need, because pretty much every position on your team is a need. I'm just being straight right now, but quarterback, I'm still going to give you a quarterback. And I think Anthony Richardson is going to be your pick. So 3 picks in a row, there's a quarterback being gone. All right, so moving on to the Jets. The Jets pretty much, I don't think they go quarterback here. I think if they have another bad year next year, or if they have another bad year the year after that, move on from Zach Wilson. But I think you give him another year. I think offensive tackle is a pretty big need, but I think just because Will Anderson is here, in my opinion, he's probably the top prospect right now, but Will Anderson, edge from Alabama, is going to be my pick. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is an easy one. Jackson Smith from Ohio State. I'm going with Jackson Smith. Can't pronounce the second half of his last name, but I think he is the best wide receiver in the draft class. And the Jaguars honestly need any really good weapon. I know they signed Christian Kirk, but Christian Kirk might not be the answer. So moving on to the Panthers. Panthers pretty much are good. I think they stick with Corral. I know apparently Corral didn't have a good season, or he didn't start. You never know, but you got to give him another season. You got to give him 2 full seasons, in my opinion, to fully evaluate a quarterback. 2 full starting seasons, I should say. So yeah, I think they stick with Corral. Maybe give him another weapon in Keyshawn Boetti, but I think they do go Michael Mayer. I think Michael Mayer is a good prospect. I think he should be a top 10 pick if he continues his production. And if you think about it, the Panthers don't have a tight end. Like, I don't think I can name their tight end off the top of my head. Not that he is bad. I just think they need that offensive playmaker that can block and pass catch. Moving on to the Giants. They're moving on from Daniel Jones. About time, too. Spencer Rattler is my pick. I think Spencer Rattler still has that upside. I think you have to look past this season. I think you have to look past what he has done this past year. Spencer Rattler, at the end of the day, is a good quarterback. So Moving on to the Bears. I think the Bears' biggest concern right now is defense. Their defensive line. They traded away Khalil Mack. And I think Jalen Carter is just an absolute mauler. He is incredible at stopping the run, and he can sack the quarterback if you give him enough time. So I'm going Jalen Carter. Moving on to the Seahawks. I feel like quarterbacks are just gonna fly off the board this year. All right, moving on. I think that Seahawks go with the quarterback Will Lewis from Kentucky. Will Lewis had an incredible year last year. Has even more to prove. I think he has really high upside. But, you know, you moved on from Wilson. So I think that adding a player like Levis is going to be a huge, huge, huge upgrade from what you have now. Currently, their number one quarterback is Drew Lock. Drew Lock is not a starter. Let's just be real here. He's not a starter. Moving on to Washington. Washington, again, give Sam Howell some time. Like, I think Sam Howell has a pretty good chance of being starter this year. And I think you give him another year and add to who he is throwing to, but also protect the quarterback as well. But I think we have to go just because he's here, Kayshawn Buete. I can't pronounce his name, but the wide receiver from LSU. Steelers, they are going to need to protect Kenny Pickett, and Peter Stronsky is my pick here at number 8 or at number 11. Back-to-back picks here for the Eagles. Eagles are going to be a good team, regardless whoever's quarterback. They added A.J. Brown this offseason, and so they got good receiver core. I think what they do is they go edge. I really do. I think that you pair up him with Jordan Davis, his former teammate. I think it's a good scenario. Plus, you have another pick right here. And for this pick, I'm going to give them. Oh, man. I'm going to be giving them. I don't know why I went to special teams, but I think that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to give them an offensive guard. Protect Jalen Hurts, and he'll succeed. That's how I see it. Moving on to the Patriots. I'm giving them a wide receiver for sure. Wide receiver or tight end? No, not tight end. Sorry, wide receiver or running back. But, I mean, let's see here. I'm going Robinson. I feel like Robinson has that potential to go at this level, at this high. I think he has great upside. And another offensive playmaker that you need. Like, you have your quarterback, you have a decent wide receiver core now. Not like you don't have a superstar yet, but you have that. You just need a really effective running back, and I think Robinson is a younger, cheaper option than Damian Harris. I think you let him go, keep James White in the second string, and then move on from there. So 15, we have the Raiders. Raiders are going to go with Kaylee Ringo, the cornerback from Georgia. Moving on to the Dolphins. Dolphins are going to have an interesting situation. I think you stay with Tua. I really think you stay with Tua. I really do. But I think that the problem with Tua is that he's not going to get you to where you want him to go. So because of that, I'm still not giving you a quarterback. I think you have to think about offensive tackle, and I'm going to give you Connor Galvin. All right, Tennessee. This is going to be an easy pick. I think Tennessee goes with the offensive guard, Emil Ikior Jr. from Alabama. They don't need corner. They don't need linebacker. I think they have a solid linebacker crew, and their offensive line is pretty much depleted. So I think you put him at left tackle or at left guard, Lawan at left tackle, and Davis right guard, and then depending on if Fryer or if Rayuns, whoever wins the right tackle spot, you'll put them there. So moving on to the Colts. The Colts, I'm going to be honest, they don't really have much edge pressure. I think they go Myles Murphy. Myles Murphy, potentially a top 10 pick. He just fell in this draft class or this draft. Again, this is a way too early. Moving on to the Vikings. Vikings, easy pick here. You still got to build up your secondary. Malachi Moore is going to be the pick. Moving on to the Cardinals. The Cardinals also need corner. They also need linebacker, but I think I'm gonna have to pass. You gotta let your younger linebackers, because that's who you have. Your young linebackers, you have to let them develop. So I'm gonna give them some time. In the meantime, going to go with Eli Ricks, the Alabama defensive back. With the Ravens, you have no wide receiver, and I think you get the receiver Jordan Addison from Pittsburgh, former teammate of Kenny Pickett. So if you watch Kenny Pickett tape, he's probably his number one receiver from last year. The Bengals, they're going with the offensive tackle, DeJuan Jones from Ohio State. You gotta keep protecting Burrow. It's going to be my number one. Until you can prove to me that their offensive line is good, I'm not going to stop giving them offensive tackle. Moving on to the Texans, their second pick. And I also think tight end. I also think wide receivers in need. I think running backs in need potentially. If Robinson was here, I'd keep him in Texas. I'd bring him to the Texans. But I'm going to give him Quentin Johnson, the wide receiver from TCU. Pretty much every team's need in the AFC South, other than the Colts, is wide receiver, especially the Texans. So let's move on to the Cowboys. The Cowboys need offensive tackle. They also need to build up that defensive line, and I'm going to give them Kalijah Kancey from Pittsburgh. Moving on to the Chargers. I mean, I would give him tight end, but then the main tight end is gone. And let's see here. I'm going to give them Jordan Battle, safety from Alabama. And Jordan Battle is all over the ball. Whenever he's on the field, you got to watch out for him, because he is going to absolutely take the ball away. So I think the Chargers need someone like that. And so moving on with the Seahawks, you guys lost Bobby Wagner. You are going to be adding one of the best linebacker, if not one of the best linebackers in this draft class from Oregon, Noah Sewell. Sounds like he is the brother of Penei Sewell, the offensive tackle, just because they went to Auburn. They have the same last name, obviously. But so, yeah, moving on to the Dolphins. The Dolphins need to secure their defense. And Tyler Davis, I'm going to give him Tyler Davis. I think Tyler Davis can give them that extra pressure off the interior line. Start creating pressure to the defenses, create those turnovers. So moving on to the Packers going to go wide receiver. They're going Marvin Mims. He's a tall, he kind of reminds me of Devontae Adams in his build size, the way he plays. So I'm going to give him with Devontae Adams 2.0. Moving on to the Lions. The Lions, again, need pretty much any position at this point. You get your quarterback, Anthony Richardson. You probably need anything at this point, but give him Paris Johnson Jr. Pair him up with Penei Sewell, and you got your offensive line's almost pretty much built up. I like it. You got to just start from the ground up when it build a team. So Chiefs are going to be going here, and they're going to be going with the tight end. Not tight end. Sorry. The wide receiver Ronnie Bell from Michigan. Ronnie Bell had a great season last year. Can only build up from that. He is a 6 foot, 192, and yeah. All right, moving on to the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers here, I'm going to assume Tom Brady's retiring. I think they go Jaron Hall, the BYU quarterback. I think he is a good option here. He or McCall would have been my next choice. But yeah, moving on to the Bills. The Bills need defense. I think I'm going to give him Brandon Joseph, the safety from Notre Dame. So if you guys did like the video, please give it a thumbs up down below. We are doing a bunch of way too early draft stuff right now. So if you want to become a member, please consider hitting that member button down below. And yeah, that's the video. Peace out, everyone.